Enjoy the ride with Crystal Petry. Consulting, so inspiring. Pushing you to your dreams.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of 60 Minutes With. I'm your host, Crystal Petry. Today we are learning about acting and directing and stage plays, and I'm so excited. Mainly because I've never been in a stage play, but I always wanted to. I felt like it was something in my heart. But to teach us all things acting and directing and producing, we have John Manfredi.
Hi, welcome.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Welcome to our space.
Oh, thank you. So as I was telling you before, this is my second time here. I've never been back here. I feel like I'm backstage, like behind the scenes. Right. So this is wonderful. Okay, so John, you are the executive director of Beaumont Community Players.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about what the Community Players does and what is your job.
Beaumont Community Player, we are an arts and education company, which means that we produce theater. We do 8 shows a year, and we also do educational programming. So I have a great program in the summer as well as classes all year long. And so we produce 5 of those shows in the summer. And then I also have a new play festival. We're involved in the community throughout doing bunches of things with many different organizations. We host. We hosted Pride Fest was here. We have this year we'll also do a celebration for World AIDS Day. We'll be here. We had the Chinese National Association here. So we have a lot of different organizations that come and avail themselves of our space in addition to our programming, which is very robust. I mean, in total we do 15 shows a year.
Is that a lot? It sounds like a lot.
That's a lot. It is quite a lot. It's quite a lot. Most theaters do between 6 and 8 shows a year, and we do 15 because we have a summer program, and all of our summer programs, all of our shows for youth, our theater for young audiences, are done with the same production values as our main stage shows. They get all the bells and whistles. They get lights and sound and all the rehearsal and everything because it's the experience that we want them to have. And so that's part of what Beaumont Community Players does in general, as well as serving in the greater community and some of those things that I mentioned. My job as the executive director is that I am in charge of all the daily operations. Anything that happens from soup to nuts in the course of the day is my responsibility, and in addition to the long-term planning of the organization is my responsibility. I respond to the board. I have a board of directors that they are my boss. But other than that, I am the boss of the organization. So, but it's been good so far.
Excellent. Okay, so let's go back a little bit into your amazing history. I didn't read too much into it because I wanted to just be like doing this podcast. But one of the things that really stuck out to me is you directed a remake of a blockbuster hit, Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Well, Driving Miss Daisy, we did. The stage play, the movie comes from a stage play. The stage play first.
Oh, really?
So then the movie came from a stage play.
Okay.
So the one that you're talking about was a production of Driving Miss Daisy that I did several years ago, and originated at a theater in Michigan, and then was picked up by a theater in Alabama, and we moved it to a theater in Detroit, and we moved it all over because it was a very accessible production. It was fast and furious. I don't rely a lot on scenery and things like that. My directing style is to be more actor driven, to tell the story. We say in this building constantly, I say it over and over and over again, our job, if I could emblazon it across my theater, it would be living truthfully in imaginary circumstances. As actors, what we want to do is we want to tell our truth. We want to be honest. I want to give you an honest performance so that you believe everything that I'm saying. But I'm in an imaginary circumstances because I'm obviously not Hoke or Miss Daisy, and I'm obviously not living in of Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
So to make that truth, that imaginary circumstance, feel real and tell the truth, that's what we're after. And this production was cool. It was tight. It was, we had, I went and took one of the coolest things about it was the set, which I also designed, is we went and took a picture of her house, her actual house, Daisy Worthen's house, and then we projected it.
That was in the movie?
Yeah, we projected it on 3 big panels, and that became the house. And so we could do the play in very small spaces or big spaces, and so it was pretty great. It was a very successful production that I then brought, and we did here as well. So we did it a couple years ago here. That's right.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you're also an actor.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Well, as most people who are become artistic leaders, a good portion of us, or become people, we start in our career as actors.
Okay.
So and I did too. I started my career as an actor. I went to the Goodman School of Drama in Chicago. I graduated fast track, and I got out of there in a super hurry because I got a Broadway show while I was in school. So I went
In New York Broadway?
Yeah, I went to do the national tour of Man of La Mancha that eventually went to Broadway. So I kind of left school. My last year at the Goodman was an independent study as I was on the road with the cast of Man of La Mancha. So since I can remember, I always knew that this is what I wanted to do. Since I was a tiny child, I always knew. So it was nobody ever questioned what John was going to do. I had a plan, which was I was going to play pro football and then get into acting. But it turns out I wasn't a very good football player, so that didn't work for me. I mean, I was okay. I played for a couple years in college.
What position did you play?
I was a wide receiver. I played for a couple years in college, but that was it. And then they got bigger and stronger, and I just wasn't very good. So I stopped. But that was so my original plan didn't work. But then I transferred from Kenyon College, where I was originally, to the Goodman School of Drama, and I finished up there. And then I just started to work professionally, and I started to do plays and theater and movies and television way back in the day, because I'm an old person. So way back in the day, in the 80s, when I was living in the Midwest, I was going between Chicago and Detroit, because Chicago is a big market. But in those two places, we used to put a lot of film in the can. And by what I mean is that we would do industrial films, or training films, or commercials, or because of the auto industry.
Yes.
And so you, as an actor, you could do something during the day. Like I would go and be the voice. I was always the bad employee in the training films. I was always the guy. John, see how John has loaded the conveyor belt wrong? Don't be like John. I was always that guy. So, but I did a lot of training films and things like that, and sometimes we do 1 or 2 a week, and those pay very well. So when you can make enough money to work in the theater, to do shows, because theater work does not pay very well.
Okay.
It's just
Even still to this day?
Even still to this day, theater work does not pay very well. I make more in a day on a film set than I make for a week.
Wow.
Much more than a day of a film. If I get it, and I'm all tell you numbers, but it says if I'm on a day on a major film for Disney, I'm going to make enough money in that day that it would cover 2 weeks of me working in the theater. So film makes a lot more money. So because I was young, I was able to make enough to make money so that I could then do plays in the evenings, and I could do plays in. I could do any play. I could do plays that were avant-garde. I could stretch myself as an actor. I could work things because I wasn't worried about making my rent.
Right.
So I didn't have to take so I could work at a smaller theater. I could work someplace else because I could work on becoming a better actor. And so I did that for a number of years. And and when you're an actor and you live not in New York or LA, right? I had an agent in New York, I had an agent in Chicago, I had an agent in LA, and so.
So you have more than one?
Oh yes.
Is that normal? Because
it depends on where you're at. If you're in New York, you only have one.
Okay.
If you live in Chicago, you only have one. If you live in, like I lived most of the time in Detroit because I had children and my children were there, and I didn't want to move my children. They were in school, and I didn't want I could make my living from where I was. So I stayed in the Detroit area, mostly Detroit. My family was originally from Cleveland, so I stayed in that Midwest area. So in order to work those bigger markets, I had agents in all those places.
Oh, okay.
But typically you don't. If I'm in LA, you got one agent.
Okay.
You don't have many. So I had one. So I worked all over the country. I worked from California to Florida to Alabama to New York to New Jersey. I worked all over the country for 25 years just doing plays, working as a freelance actor, and working like that. As I was working in all these theaters, I started to see that a lot of them were run poorly. That because when you have people that are running the theater that are mostly concerned with the show part of show business and not the business part of show business, they don't fail. They fail. They don't do well. So I saw that theaters were not being run very well. So I started to take jobs as a stage manager, and I started to become I eventually.
And how far is this? Like 10 years?
This
or?
is probably 15 years into
Okay.
as an actor. I started to work I started to get work as a stage manager, which is also more lucrative than an actor because stage managers make more than actors do in the professional theater. And so I started to do that, and then I started to work my way up into management. I became an associate director, and then I became a general manager, and then a managing director because I know the business part of it. Because I had been around for so long and I knew how to do things. And when I had all the skills about how to produce plays, then trying to find the money to produce plays became a different thing. And I also, as we've discussed, I don't shut up. I talk. I just talk, and I can. Our board of directors keeps saying, let's just get John in a room with someone. He'll close the deal. I can close the deal. So I'm a closer. So I became good at that, and I started to move around to work in different theaters. In the course of that time, I was still doing movies, and then there was a period of time in the Detroit area where Detroit had the strongest set of film incentives. And film incentives
When was that?
It was, oh God, I'm going to try and think when it was. I want to say in the 2000s. I might fact check myself on that. But it was around the 2000s. They had the most aggressive film incentives in the country. They would give tax breaks and film incentives. Every state has them, right, where they kick money back to film companies. Come and shoot a movie in my town, we'll give you a tax break, right?
Yes.
Everybody has little film incentives. In Texas, I think it's like 22%, and depending on where you're at, and it's not in Texas isn't very good, but in other places, the film incentives are very high. And like, if you wonder why, like I'll make a little pitch, right? If you look in Texas, right, Texas has everything. Texas has great weather. Texas has beaches. Texas has post-apocalyptic cities. It has beautiful places, but we don't shoot a lot of film in Texas.
Is that because of the incentives?
Because why should I shoot a film in Texas when I can go to Louisiana and do the same thing for a lot less money? And that's why you see Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, all those people in this big campaign right now that is out in the press right now telling people, come on, let's shoot film in Texas. I want to shoot more movies in Texas. Because Texas has everything. Texas should be shooting film. And that's another thing that we're very involved in this building. So we are very involved with the film scene here in Beaumont.
Okay.
Beaumont has a burgeoning young film community. We've screened films here. We work with filmmakers all the time. They come to us for auditions. They come to us to shoot locations. Because I have a lot of experience shooting films, they come to me, they chat with me. We do a lot of work with work with the Boomtown Film Festival. We're very into trying to build the film industry up here in Beaumont. So we're still involved in that. So going back to the story in Detroit, when Detroit had all these film incentives, and they were at some point in time they were the hottest we were the hottest market in the country, and films were shooting 6 and 7 films a year were shooting in Detroit for 3 years. And I did a bunch of movies in that time. I did Ides of March with George Clooney. I did Real Steel with Hugh Jackman. I did Game of Death with Wesley Snipes. I did Transformers. I did.
No, you did.
Oh yeah, I did Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood. No. So all of those films. Now, when we started on that industry, because when Hollywood came to Detroit, they didn't know us in Detroit. They didn't know the Midwest, and so all the leads, all the really big parts, right, we're going to other people. So those of us from Detroit, we had smaller parts. Like if you see Gran Torino, you'll see me in the bar, but you won't see me anywhere else. The funny story about Ides of March, right? Ides of March, which I did with George Clooney. So I did that, and I had 5 days on that film. So I shot that film for 5 days. I had 2 scenes with Ryan Gosling.
Okay.
And
speaking scenes?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 2 scenes with Ryan Gosling. And so we shot the 2 scenes. I actually had lunch with George Clooney every day. My son is a big immigration lawyer. Works politically in D.C. and George Clooney is very involved politically in his work. They own a satellite and things like that to keep track of humanitarian things that are going on. So we had a lot of conversations at lunch, George Clooney and I, about the world, not about theater, about anything, just about chatting about things like that. So he's super cool. And so. But in that film, right, I had two scenes with Ryan Gosling, and they went very well. They were great, and then I went home, and right after that I got the film. Right after that I was in Alabama doing a Shakespeare play, and my agent called me and said they want you for Real Steel, which is the robot boxing movie with Hugh Jackman. And I said, I can't get there for the audition. They said, well, just record something with the Russian dialect on your phone and send it to us. So I did, and they booked me.
What?
So which was just crazy. So they booked me as, and I played the protagonist's, the main bad girl, her father. That's who I play in the film. His name is Sergei Lemkov. And they flew me to LA. They gave me Russian dialogue lessons. That we had scenes in with her in Russian, and it was great. We shot that. I was on that film for probably about 10 days, and the non-disclosure agreement so that we wouldn't take pictures of the robots and things like that were amazing. Disney is very, very tight about stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but the point of that story is that film and Ides of March opened the same day.
What?
So I went home with my family to say, and I said, okay, you guys, look, I mean, which one do you want to see? And I tried to get them to see, I tried to push them into Real Steel because I knew, because of the way that it shot, I knew that in Real Steel, you were going to see me. I was going to be a part. With Ides of March, you never know what's going to end up on the cutting floor, what you're going to be in, what's not going to be in. As an actor, you never know what's going to make the film. And so they all said, "Oh, let's go see Ides of March." And so we all going to see Ides of March. And as the credits roll, I see myself walk across the campus behind the words of the credits. I see myself, and then the story starts telling, and I can tell because of the way the story progresses that I am not going to be in the film. I know in the first 30 seconds of the movie that I am not going to be in it because the plot has progressed past the point of my scene. So unless they were going to, so I kept waiting. Are we going to flash back to this scene with Ryan Gosling? And then I knew that. So I'm sitting lower and lower in my seat as we're watching the whole movie. my whole family is there. So the film ends. They roll the credits, and I'm still credited like number 8. The advance man, and my family jumps up and cheers, yay! Even though I did not, I basically do not appear in that film. So, but so they were great. So then we went to saw Real Steel the next day.
And you're all in that movie.
Oh yeah. So I'm in that movie. There's another one where you don't know what's gonna. There's a whole scene. There's a scene between Olga, my daughter, and I in Russian that we shot. Never made the film. There's
You're speaking Russian?
Oh yeah. So then and none of it made the film. And there's a couple scenes that we had. I think in the final cut of the film, I'm in it quite a bit, but I think I say "niet." I think that's the only word I say. I say "niet." That's all I say.
What does that mean?
That means no.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only thing I say in the film.
So who determines what's going to be in the film and what's going to be taken out?
The director and the editor. The director and the editor, they look at it and they shoot it all. And it's we didn't. At the end of the day, the director, they look at what they call dailies. They look at the shots of the day. Now, actors don't usually get to see the dailies, so we don't usually get to know. So, but I saw because I had been talking to Mr. George Clooney. I saw the dailies of the stuff with Ryan Gosling, and so I'm confident in the fact that they did not use it because it was bad. They just didn't use it because it didn't fit the story.
Right.
But it was a great experience. But in all of those, every single person that I ever worked with, they're amazing. They're really, really great people. The only person that I ever had an issue with ever was Wesley Snipes.
What?
And we had a problem with Wesley Snipes, but only because he had an attitude.
What movie was this?
There's a film called Game of Death.
Okay.
And it's a film where I play a corrupt police lieutenant. Again, the bad guy. I'm always the bad guy. So, but in that film, he was kind of a jerk and kind of rude and everything. But
was that his character or was that him?
That was him. But you have to cut him some slack because the day that we wrapped that film, the Monday after that, he went to jail for tax evasion for a very long time. So he might have been going through a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm willing to even cut him some slack because I've talked to other people in the business who said he's a prince of a guy and he's an awesome dude, and I tend to believe that.
Okay.
The fact that he just was having a hard time during that film that we had, and that film was also fraught with things. It was a little bit of a lower budget film. We had some issues. There was one scene where I was supposed to jump out of a helicopter and chase Wesley Snipes down a bunch of stairs, and I was so thrilled about that. I was so excited that was going to be the coolest thing ever. So,
no stunt double.
No. I was just going to jump. Oh, it was a small jump. They wanted to give me a stunt guy, but I said no, I can make that jump. So So we get up and we're getting ready to, and we're just getting ready to get in the helicopter, and alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and the feds and the FBI all show up.
Is this part of the movie?
No, the real FBI and the feds. They show up and they said, listen, you can't, because we were shooting in Detroit, you can't fly your helicopter, you don't have a permit to fly your helicopter in international waters, because Detroit is right across the river, Detroit River, from Windsor, Canada. And so because they didn't have the flight pan cleared and all of that, we never did it. So I never got to jump out of a helicopter.
Wow.
No, the closest I got to was to sit in it. But then I didn't get to do it. I still chase them down the steps, but I didn't get to jump out of a helicopter.
So how did you get introduced to this? I know you said you've always known, and everybody around you have always known that you're going to be in the acting, film, movie industry. So did somebody introduce you to this? Did you watch a movie? Like, what happened?
No, this is the honest to God truth. When I was very young, and I gotta say maybe in the 6th grade, I did plays I remember doing a play in the 3rd grade.
Yes.
I remember doing a play in the 3rd grade and thinking, oh, this is cool, people clap for you. But then I didn't think much about it. And then in the 6th grade, I was walking from basketball practice, and I walked by a room, and I looked in the room at school, and the room was filled with women.
Okay.
And I said, what class is this? And they said, it's drama class. And I said, how do I get into that?
I love it. I love it.
And so that was it. And that was the whole reason, was because it was a room full of women and one guy who wasn't the most masculine dude in the place. And that was the whole drama club. And I went, oh, this is for me. And so that's how it started. That's how it started. And then I guess I was okay. I didn't suck. And so people thought they started to use me more. And then, as old as I am, theater was always, it was generally accepted for boys to do, right? It was, people.
It's not like that anymore.
It's not like that anymore, though it is still a little bit. I mean, it's still a little bit. I mean, and theater has the reputation that if you're in a theater and you're a guy, you're probably gay, and all of those things, and there's some truth to that. I mean, I've been in in companies of big musicals where 80% of the guys are gay. So I mean, there's some truth to that, but it's certainly not a true statement to say that all that
true blanket statement.
It's certainly not. But when I was growing up, in the 70s, it wasn't that cool. Like I remember my dad thinking, "This is what you're doing. This is your thing."
Of everything.
Of everything. All you're doing. This is what you're going to do. Yeah. So, and I remember him saying, "Well, you're not that good looking, and you don't sing that good, so you better do something else. So you better find a fallback position." So, so which I did. So I took that. Then what I did is I took that advice from my father, and I became a fight choreographer, which means I learned to sword fight and to do because every time you have physical violence on stage, it needs to be choreographed. It's like a dance and how you sword fight and all of that. And so I said, okay, I can use my athletic skills and do this. And so that became a way for me to pay bills in between acting. Like if I didn't have an acting gig, I could go somewhere and choreograph a fight for someone, or I could go somewhere and choreograph a fight for a movie, or things like that. And so that was just another way for me to keep my hands in the arts, so that I didn't necessarily have to go and do a day job.
Is there anything within this industry that you haven't done? Because it sounds like you've done, like you've had your hand in every part of it.
I'll tell you, I'm not very good at lighting design. So as far as lighting go, I'm not very good at that, and I haven't done much of it. I've done a lot of set design, a lot of sound design, and I don't do costumes. I was so bad. When you go to theater school, you get rotations. It's like you're going to be in the set, you're going to be in the studio this term, you're going to be in something this term, you're going to be in this. So my stint in the costume shop was so bad, and I was so bad at it that at one point in time they said, listen, this is your job is now just to write names in the t-shirts. That was your entire job, was to write names in the back of t-shirts.
No.
So that was what because I couldn't sew. I was terrible at fabric. I didn't get it, and I don't get it. And even now as a director, it's the thing that I really rely on other people for, because I don't have any fashion sense. I don't know how people I don't care about costumes, and it's an important part of a theatrical experience.
Yes.
So I rely on other people to help me out, because I'm not very good at that.
Okay, so you had lunch with George Clooney. You've had speaking roles with Ryan Gosling, Wesley Snipes. Those are huge A-list actors. Are those the biggest like most famous actors you've ever met?
Probably. I would think probably. I mean, the people that I've done, so I got Hal Linden, who you won't know is the original Barney Miller, Christopher Callan. These are more Broadway stars than they are. But those guys, I mean, Hugh Jackman, George Clooney, those are big time. Those are I certainly haven't met any more famous people than them. And they were both amazingly sweet. Hugh Jackman was like the nicest dude.
Wolverine
ever.
himself.
We did that. The scene for my favorite Hugh Jackman story is that a lot of what I did were big crowd scenes.
Okay.
Because we're in the fighting arena. So a lot of the scenes were big crowd scenes, which means there were tons.
What movie is this?
This is Real Steel.
Okay.
And so with crowd scenes were robots boxing. So huge crowd scenes, which we had lots of extras, thousands of extras filled the seats. And so when you're an extra on a film, sometimes you get paid. Most of the time, if you're a big, you don't get paid. You're there to be a part of the experience. If you're lucky, they'll feed you lunch. If you're lucky,
Okay.
right? In the bigger films, you get lunch, but they have a separate table, a separate area set up for all the extras. Go over there so you don't mess with with the real
Wow.
people, because their extras they're just you do a casting call. I want 1,000 people. You don't know who's going to show up to be the crowd at a boxing
So
match.
that's how they get the extras.
That's how they get there, because I want
Okay.
all these people, right? So they come. Now, when you get in places like California and New York, where they shoot a lot, they have people who are professional extras, and there's a union, Screen Extras Guild, as opposed to Screen Actors Guild. There's also, but every day that we did these huge crowd scenes, at the end of the day, before they were released, Hugh Jackman would walk up into those crowds and glad hand and chat with people and just say hello, because they were there to be a part of the experience.
Right.
And they're if you're in the top row of the bleachers in the arena, Hugh Jackman is this big, when you're doing your stuff. And every single day, he would get out and he would walk and he would chat with people. He would get out and he would talk to them and say, thank you for being here. He was just such a cool guy. We would go into the makeup tent, and he has his own stylist, of course, and everything that comes with him, and we're all in the general makeup trailer. And he would come in and just hang out with us, eat his oatmeal, and just chat. He was just a regular dude. He had his whole family on the set with him for this one. He had his wife, his mom, his dad. And we were, at the same time, I was doing a production of the Rocky Horror Show. And I invited him to come to see the play.
Did he come?
No. He said he was going to. But then something got turned up, and I said, I'll sneak you in the back way, we'll put a hat on you, because he really wanted to come and see it, because he was staff, so he was supportive. And so we're getting ready, and I put a ticket aside from him, and then he doesn't have his publicist call me, he doesn't have an assistant calls me, he calls me.
He did not call you.
He called me and said, John, listen, I'm not going to make it.
He called you John?
Yeah. He said, John, I'm not going to make it. So, that's an amazing.
You talk about it like it's nothing.
Well, it wasn't. He's a mensch, man. He's a super great guy. He was super sweet to everybody, and I never really expected him to come, but I said, I got a ticket for you. He said, yeah, we'll come. And then he did. And I remember we snuck him into a Tiger game, because it was in Detroit. We put a hat on him and snuck him into a Tiger game. But he's just a regular dude. I remember he's walking around and his mom is running down the hallway after him going, Huey, just a moment. Because he's got his mom with him and his kids and a daughter. He's just a guy.
They really are just regular people.
Every single one of them that I have ever. That's true. Every single one of them that I have.
I can't believe it.
And the George Clooney, because when Ryan Gosling at the point was a little younger, and he had his dog with him, and we shot on a college campus in Southern Ohio, where we shot. And when Gosling would get out, the girls were insane. They would love it. They were insane, and they would scream bloody murder, and he would go out and he would love it, right?
Yeah.
They would do the same thing for George Clooney, but George said, John, walk with me, and he would walk, because I'm taller than him, he would walk behind me and put his hat down, and I was like his shield from people, because he didn't want to do that. He wasn't involved in that. He wanted to get to where he was doing.
Yeah.
But he was also the director of the film too. But they were great. They were just regular dudes.
Do you still act?
It's hard down here. It's hard down here to act, because there's not that much there's no union work in Beaumont.
Okay.
And so in order for me to do a play or a movie, I would have to go to Houston. And I work too many hours. I have too much going on here for me to go and do a film or a movie or things like that. So I wish I could.
have you kept in touch with like George Clooney?
Oh, no. Who knows whether any of them would remember me at all? They see a million people.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
and have done a million films, and I'm assuming they're nice to everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't keep in touch with any of them. They're not like I have their personal phone numbers or anything like that. So.
Well, was there caller ID at that time when Hugh called you?
I don't think I recognize the number. I think it said unavailable.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so it sounds like everything I've heard about acting, like getting into acting, it sounds like it's the hardest thing ever. But your experience doesn't seem like it was that.
Well, it's hard in the fact that there are very few roles for very, very many people.
Okay.
So the competition is ridiculously hard. It's very, very difficult to get into it. It's hard to find an agent.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to separate yourself. I mean, you have to think about that. You know, this is not wrong. I think it's 87% of all people who are actors. I think this is the right number because it just came up during the strike. But 87% of actors make less than $26,000 a year.
Why are you in it then?
So,
why are they in it?
because the bigger percent, that small percent, 13%, they make okay. Now I'm somewhere fall in the middle because I made more than that, but I didn't make big time money.
Right.
You know, so I made enough money. I put 2 kids through college. You know,
Yeah.
so I supported myself. I made a living. Making a living just as an artist is a feat. No, and you don't. That's not rare.
So you didn't have like a part-time waiter job?
No, I did not.
I hear that all the time.
Early in my career, I did. Early in
Okay.
my career, I did. I worked midnight gigs. I drove a taxi. I worked the midnight gig at a hotel. I did early morning newspaper delivery. All the things that you do so that I would have my daytimes free, so I could go to auditions and rehearsals and things like that. And if I had a show, I couldn't do this thing. I mean, I worked gigs that were late night, but I didn't do. But thankfully, knock on wood, for me, I got enough work as an actor that didn't happen very often for me. But I mean, it is very difficult. It is hard to get into. It's hard to separate yourself, and to make it so that you can support yourself, because there's so much competition there. There's never an audition that I go to that didn't have at least 20 people. And that's that day that I'm there. Doesn't mean that there weren't 20 people the day before, or 20 people the day before, or how many agents have submitted so many people for this role, and so many people for this role. So I mean, the fact that I got the Real Steel gig was a fluke. I was in Alabama doing a Shakespeare play, and I recorded an audition in a Russian accent on my phone. And so they say, "Oh, this guy's cool." And then that's not ever done. That's not. I mean, you usually got to go through 3 different agents and have 17 callbacks. And I mean, the film, the Full Metal Jacket, which is an Army movie that's very, very old. I had, I think, 11 callbacks for that film and didn't get in.
So callbacks mean you have to go back in.
I went back. I auditioned for it in Cleveland, Ohio. And then they said, "Okay, we like you, but we're not you." So then I auditioned again in Detroit, and they said, "Okay, we like you." And then I auditioned in Chicago, and they moved me. And it turned out 11 times that they read me and didn't use me. Same thing happened for. I mean, I am probably the only actor that I know of that has only done one Law and Order. Like, all the actors I know that work have done Law and Order a million times. But for some reason, I could not get cast in that dang show, man.
Is that the longest running show ever?
It's super. It feeds so many actors. So many actors have had great parts in that and great things. So, and I have
I was watching it yesterday.
And I have one cameo appearance in one role where I come in and I'm a murderer. And so, but other than that, I could not buy and get not cast in that darn thing. Could not buy. And I got to know the casting agents so well that I would walk in and go, "John, we're going to get you this time."
Oh,
and
it never
happened. Never happened.
Is there anything easy about getting into the acting industry?
No, it's really not. I tell kids now, what I tell them routinely is if you have anything else in your life that you are passionate about, you should consider that. Okay? The theater, right? Live professional theater. In the past, since the pandemic, we've lost 40% of the working theaters in the country.
Wow, I did not know
Yeah,
that.
there are 40% of the regional theaters that are closing, small professional theaters that are closing, because the audiences didn't come back after COVID. They found other ways to entertain themselves that are much
Yes.
cheaper. Theater is an investment. It's like, I can't put on a play and charge you $10. When I put on a play, my expenses are, so I've got to charge you $30 to come to a theater.
Yes.
So you've got to come to the theater, you've got to invest time.
Yeah.
You got to invest money to come to the theater.
You
It's
got
a
to
thing.
leave
You got to leave your house. You got to put your
Yeah.
Or I can, for $1, I can put something on the television and stream it and eat popcorn in my pajamas.
It's true.
So the competition is very high. So live professional theater is dying. We're a dinosaur. It's really going down. And at the end of the day, I think probably within another 5 years, you're only going to see the big houses like the Lutcher, which brings shows in from Broadway, and places like this, like BCP, because I don't use mostly professional actors. If I had to do what we do here and had to pay all my actors, my budget would be 1.5 million, and I would never be able to do it.
Okay.
Instead of now, my budget is, just over $500,000 because I use mostly volunteer people. Now, a lot of my people are paid because we are like that. We are not just a community, we're like a step above. So my designers are paid, my directors are paid, my stage managers are paid. Those people are paid, but my actors are still volunteer.
Okay. Yes.
And so those theaters are, but you're going to see a shrinkage of the places. So there's not going to be that many places for actors to work anymore. And the film industry, everybody can make a film. Everybody that has an iPhone can make a movie.
It's true.
Can make a movie now. So there's going to be some burgeoning opportunities for actors there, but they don't pay. Right? That's not paying. Now, one of the things that we've been on strike for so long is like my day rate as a Screen Actors Guild member, right? My day rate 25 years ago is more than my day rate now. There's no other profession in the world where your salary
How
is
did
gone
that
like this,
happen?
because that's the way the industry is. And the same thing with streaming rights. Streaming, like I get residuals for movies. Movies that I've played, I get residual checks. I'm still getting paid for all the movies. I still get paid. I've done, Unsolved Mysteries that I did in the 80s. I still get checks from that. I got a 32-cent check just the other day, 32 cents, because
the stamp costs more than that.
because Unsolved Mysteries that I was in played in Guam for 13 weeks, and I got 30-some cents. So the residual fees have been going down, and you don't get as much when they stream. Streaming is not as much. If you do a streaming show, right, for 6 episodes, you get a flat fee. Doesn't matter how popular it is, doesn't matter how many people see it, doesn't matter how many times they run it or renew it. And that's why we went on strike, because we said, no, you streaming people are making a fortune.
Yes.
And we're not getting part of that. And now with AI, they have the opportunity to use my face and likeness, buy me out, and then use it as much as they want. Now, I would not let them buy me out, and the big stars are not going to, but some young actor is going to say, yeah, cool, give me the money, and then they're going to take advantage of their face and their likeness, and they're going to use them generated by AI whenever they want. So you've got to really want to act for me to encourage you to do it.
Yeah.
And you've got to have game. You've got to have skill. I mean, the most important part to me, to be a successful actor is to be fearless and thick-skinned. Okay? You can't be afraid to take chances. You can't be afraid to put yourself out there. And I tell the people that I work with now, that being an actor is courageous. Right? You have to be out there and open yourself up vulnerable for all these people to see. You have to put your emotions out there. You have to be real. It takes a lot of courage just to get up on that stage in front of people. It takes an incredible amount of courage. So you have to have that, and you have to have a thick skin. You have to be able to take criticism. You have to realize that, you're going to walk into an audition 10 times, and 9 times they're going to tell you no. 9 times they're going to say, you're not the person that I want. You're not good enough. You don't look. And you can't take that personally. You can't take it personally.
How can you not?
Because you have to realize that it has nothing to do with that. There have been plenty of times where I have walked into shows and I know that I am better than the dude who just auditioned, but that dude got the part because he looks more the part, especially in film. Look has a lot to do with it. Mm-hmm. I lost parts on Broadway because I was taller than Dustin Hoffman.
No.
So because you can't be, so my agent wouldn't submit me. I don't want to say I lost a part. My agent would not submit me because I know you're too tall. They're only seeing people 5'8" and under. What? So all of that plays in to you know, getting cast. And so if you have to have that thick skin to be able to take rejection, right? And the fact that everything you do is under scrutiny. Everybody's watching it.
Yes.
So I remember the first time, thankfully, I had great teachers at the Goodman School of Drama. And the first time that I was reviewed in the paper, right?
Oh, okay.
The first time that someone wrote about me,
Yes.
right? And said something very good about me. And I was very happy about myself.
Yes.
And I had the great Dr. Bella Itkin took me aside and said, you got 24 hours to be happy about that. That's it. And then goes, because what if that's a subjective opinion? Someone else is gonna write something that you don't like. You can't take that to heart. At the end of her great quote is, at the end of the day, they both wrap the fish, which is, you used to put fish in newspaper, right? So at the end of the day, whether it's a good review or a bad review, they both wrap the fish. So you can't, which helps you when you get a bad review, not to hold that either, because you got to let that go. I mean, I have been in productions. I did a production of Macbeth, okay, and which is a huge Shakespeare play. And I had one reviewer who came in and saw this show on the same night. One reviewer said, John Manfredi is the next Al Pacino. I don't know if he's Al Pacino. He's the next John Barrymore. He lit the stage on fire, blah, blah, blah. Same opposite paper said, John Manfredi should not be allowed in the theater, let alone be performing. He should not be allowed to watch theater.
No.
Same play, same performance, two different people. So, it's how they, people's opinions are subjective. And you have to develop that thick skin so that, people are going to write about you and say, I didn't believe them, or he was terrible, or he was good, or he was bad. There was one particular reviewer in Chicago who, every time he wrote about me, he said something about how I looked. The handsome John Manfredi, the aquiline John Manfredi, or something like that. And I said to him, why do you always have to put the qualifier in there about how I look? And he said, his answer was, because that's how you look. I said, but it doesn't have anything to do with my performance. So he liked me. He thought I was a good-looking man, and so he always made a comment about it.
Yeah.
So the next time he reviewed me, he said it's John Manfredi and his aquiline nose. I said, okay then. Aquiline nose. So it's just the nature of the beast. And so you learn how to be, thick-skinned, and which is a great skill it's a great skill to have for life.
It's just like I hear actors and actresses say all the time, it's the 10,000 no's. You got to wait until you get your 10,000 no's.
Yeah.
I'm like, how could anyone, especially in society now, I feel like everybody's so sensitive about everything. Like, people can't take anything. How is somebody going to take 10,000 no's and still get up the next day?
It takes a special person. It takes a special time to resolve. You have to want to do it. And that's what I tell my students. If you can't find anything that you're passionate about but this, then this is what the life that you're in store for. But if you got something else that you like, try that. Try that, because this is going to be 10,000 no's. No matter how good you are, no matter how great you are. I mean, I remember exactly the same experience playing college football as I had moving into the college theater. I went from being the superstar of my high school program, of being the stud guy, and being a very good football player on my high school football team, to going to college and being, everybody on that football team was the best player on their high school team.
Right.
And every actor in that program was the best actor from their high school program.
Yes.
So I had a rude awakening. I was like, oh, all these jokers are good, which makes you get better. But it was you have to be able to take the no.
So which one do you prefer more, acting or directing?
Oh, that's a really hard question to ask. I don't know that I can answer that. Directing, acting is certainly easier than directing. Acting is you have one job, that's your responsibility. Directing, you have everything. You're in charge of everything. You're in charge of the vision. You're in charge of this. You're in charge of all the other actors. And being an egomaniacal control freak, which I am, I like the directing part because I like being in charge. Plus, I've done it enough now that I think I can help people tell the message. I think I can tell the story. So I really enjoy directing, but, you know, I think that if a push came to shove, if someone held my feet to the fire,
Yeah.
acting is still still the thing I would like to do.
Which one is more pressure? Because the actor, you know, that's what we're seeing. That's what we're saying. You're great, you're horrible, whatever, you know, you shouldn't be allowed to watch. And the director, you know, he's over or she's over everything. But most people don't even know who the director is.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's kind of
it's
because I mean it's very that's a very astute of you to recognize that too, because you see it in the movies all the time where there are
Right.
5 actors who are all nominated for Best Actor, but the director of that film does not appear.
At all.
Right, so it's a little bit of a thankless job, you know, and so that's okay with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of like okay with me. If you don't mention the director, but you just talk about what a great performance it was and how
Yeah.
great the story was, then I kind of feel cool. And I'm good about that. If you're noticing what I did, if you're noticing the director, I really like the way he did that, then I'm not really doing my job because you're not following the story. And my job as a director is to tell the story.
Okay.
And so I kind of like it when they don't mention me as a director. You know, it's cool because if they're talking about the production and all of that, then that means I did my job.
Okay. I mean, that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. What life lessons have you taken from this industry, the film and theater industry?
Oh, it is the life lesson from a life in the arts is the biggest life lesson that I come to is that acceptance and acceptance of everybody, of everyone. The thing that I have learned most in the theater, because there's no place else but the arts and theater and movies and theater where everybody is welcome, where you know your race, creed, color, gender doesn't matter. Right? Everybody is welcome in the theater. The theater is the island of misfit toys. Right? We are, you know, and we uplift everybody. You know, our job is to uplift everybody and make everybody feel worthy and make everybody feel good about themselves. And so the life lesson that I take from the arts is to be a decent human. You know, realize that people are people. You know, realize that everybody has their own story. Everybody is going through it. You know, everybody has something to offer. Everybody has something to bring you. You know, and if you're open to what the gifts that they're going to bring you, how much richer are you? You know, if you're open to the things that people bring you and the you know what they bring to the table. So being acceptance of those people and not to take everything so personally. I mean, that to me, maybe it should be flipped. Maybe that's the more important lesson because, you know, it not to have that knee-jerk reaction, not to take everything so, you know, people say things and people do things, and not just to take everything to heart so personally. To be able to take stock and look at things from the outside.
Yes. Okay, so as the executive director of the Beaumont Community Players, you stated earlier that y'all do about 15 shows a year. So do you get to pick what shows that you bring here? How does that work?
Yeah, as the executive director, a more accurate title for me would probably be producing artistic director, because I am the executive producer and I also choose the show. So that's really a producing artistic director, but executive director works fine for us. There used to be a committee that got together and chose the plays, but it never works. That never works.
How many people was on it?
Oh, it depends. Sometimes it was 6, sometimes it was 8. They would read a whole bunch of plays. They would talk. They would have a bunch of discussions, and they would come up with the plays that they like. But they're thinking about the plays that they like. They're not thinking about who's going to come. They're not thinking about all the logistics. They're not thinking about can I get the rights. They're not thinking about how much does this cost. You know, they're not thinking about a lot of those things. So putting together the season, when I came down here, the board changed that and tasked that to make that my decision.
Okay.
And so
Did you prefer it that way?
Always, yes.
Okay.
I mean because it's my job to put together a season that appeals to a wide variety of people.
Okay.
I mean, so that so that we do. I mean, we now do shows where we didn't do shows before. We only did shows for the Black community in February.
Oh, that's
Because
horrible.
Black History Month, so that was the only time that we did
Yes.
shows for the Black community. We don't do that anymore. Now we do shows for the Black community whenever that fits in our schedule.
Thank
we
you.
we just did Chicken and Biscuits in November.
Thank
which was
you.
it. So we think that it's a month is not enough time. And I live in Beaumont, right? I live in Beaumont, which is 60-some% people of color.
Yes.
So you're either black or Hispanic in Beaumont. You're not a white person.
Right.
Right? So
Yes.
we have to appeal to that audience. We have to reach out to that audience. And trying to make inroads into the black community has been a challenge for us because they don't trust us necessarily because we haven't been that way before. Now it's different.
Right.
And now it's different. But at the beginning it was a struggle because what would happen is people would come and do a show in February for us and then I'd have nothing for them for the rest of the year. No plays for black people, no acting roles for black people, no plays for the black community to come and watch.
Right.
Right? So we changed that policy. So now we practice something which is called race-neutral casting. And race-neutral casting means that if the race of a person is not impactful to the story, it doesn't matter to us if you're black, white, green, purple. It doesn't matter. I can have an interracial marriage. I can have white parents and black kids. Because if it doesn't impact the story,
Yes.
then it doesn't make any difference to us. So it used to be called color-blind casting, but that's not really an accurate moniker.
Right.
It's to say race-neutral is more, because it's like I couldn't do Driving Miss Daisy and have a black Miss Daisy.
Yes.
So there it impacts the story. I can't
Yes.
do a piano lesson, I can't do an August Wilson play and have the dad be a white dude.
Yes.
Okay, so those,
Right.
though, when race is integral to the telling of the story,
Mm-hmm.
we're true to race. But when it doesn't matter, there's no reason why I can't have a black mom and a white dad. Why I can't have, and they can have two Asian children. There's no reason why I can't do that, because it doesn't impact the story. And in today's world, we have mixed families. And even for us, even when I'm going back and I'm doing a period piece, if I'm doing, a piece set in the 1800s when they wouldn't have,
Right.
we still do it. Because
Really?
because it's we want to train the audience that we are race neutral. It doesn't make any difference to us. We're still telling the story. So get past that. So we're trying to. So that's we do that.
I know you keep saying we, but really isn't it you?
Well, I have to. It's not just I have the full support of my board,
Okay.
and I have the full support of my staff. When I got here, I told them I made no bones about what I thought my mission was going to be when I said we need to be the biggest tent in Texas. All right, and I was, like I said, I was here it only took me a month to realize what was wrong, right? How we were doing things wrong, and it didn't take me very long to get my head around Southeast Texas.
Okay.
And so we needed to be more diverse. We needed to be more accepting. We needed to be the bigger tent. We needed to be, because in the theater, like I said, we're the island of misfit toys, and people Southeast Texas is, and people have to forgive me, but it's a little socially behind the rest of the country.
It is.
Right?
Yes.
So it really is. So I mean, it's very much we're very active in the gay community. I was very honored to receive the Ally of the Year award from PFLAG just this year.
Really?
Because we do things for them here. They have board meetings here. We host events for them. We did all of Pride was here because the city of Beaumont is not friendly. So to them.
I did not know
Well, it's not
that.
that they weren't friendly, but they charge them a lot of money and they make it difficult, and they did
yeah.
this, and so we're not.
Yes.
And Pride will be here every year. So we're very supportive of the gay community. And so when I said that, our job right now is to be that biggest tent in Texas, to be the place where everybody comes, where everybody is welcome, where
Yes.
everybody is uplifted, where everybody has a place to be. That's my job. And I say that to every company that we have, and I say that when I go to the first rehearsal, even the shows that I'm not directing, I come in and I talk to the company and I said, listen, I want you to have a good job. I want you to have a good time here, right? It is less important to me that we put on a good show than you have a positive experience. It's less important to me if the show is good, right, than if you grow as a person, if you have a better experience. That's more important to me because that's my job. My job is
The show is not your job?
The show is my job, but whether the show is good or bad is not the most important thing to me. The most important thing to me is the people that have that collective experience, that they're going to be better people when they're done than when they started. They're going to be a little bit more accepting. They're going to be a little bit more confident. They're going to be a little bit more something. And the shows are always good because people, they accept that challenge. But that when they know that that's not, I'm not going to belittle you. I'm not going to berate you. I'm not going to beat you up, right? if you don't do your job, if you're not as good as this, right? We kind of take the pressure off. Like we talk, everybody who directs for us, everybody who works for us, we come and they talk to me first. So we have meetings because the way that we talk to people is universal in this building, and that is that we deal with you positively. Right? I deal with you positively. When I want to give you a no, when I tell you something, I'm never going to say you're wrong, Crystal. What I'm going to say is that there might be a better way of doing that. Let's say, I'm not going to say I'm not going to say, that's, you do make an acting choice, you do something that I don't like. I'm going to say, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong or that you're going to tell you that you're bad. I'm going to say, how about this? Why don't we try it this way? Right? Isn't there a better way is there a better way of saying that? Giving them verb instead of never dealing with them negatively. We don't ever want to tell them that they're it's not that we don't tell them that they do things wrong, because we do, but it's never in a way we don't make them wrong. I don't make you bad. I don't make you bad. I offer you a different choice. I'd offer you a different alternative. I give you a different way to approach the work.
But isn't that part of acting, the 10,000 no's and learning to not take it personal?
Yeah, it is. But then when I'm here and I'm working with amateur actors, people who are not professionals,
yes,
right? And this has been one of the greatest challenges for me, is that I'm not used to working with people, right, who work a day job all day and then come here at night. Because I give them, and I'm rehearsing with them at night. And so I send them away with, I want you to work on this. I want you to try this. When do they have time to work on that? Because they're at work the next morning. So in the professional theater, that is my job, right? If I'm going to a side job, it's after rehearsal.
Yes.
Right? So my job is to, these actors are a special breed of wonderful, right? Because they're not professional actors, and they don't, it's like, we struggle with memorizing lines in this building, with people memorizing their lines, okay? And why do we struggle with that? Because they don't have the time to memorize those lines. They don't. When are they supposed to memorize those lines? And so we struggle with that. We work really hard on it. We give them all the tricks. We try and tell them. We give them the reps so that they can learn. But that's a difficult thing for them, because when are they going to go off and memorize those lines? So because of that, going back to your original point, that's why you have to be positive with people, because this is not someone who it's easy for me to memorize lines, even to this day, because I've been doing it for 40 years. I mean, I'm directing a production of A Christmas Carol right now. I could probably recite it from the beginning to the end, every single line, probably, because I've been doing it for 40 years. It's a muscle. And so that memorization, if you do one play a year at a community theater, you don't have that muscle. You haven't developed that muscle. So memorizing lines is harder for you because you're not doing it every day.
Yes.
So you have to, so when we talk to people, we try and keep them that positive thing. We try and tell them, this is what we want. This is, we're going to get there. And, and we have a rule. I probably shouldn't say this. We have a rule. And I tell all my directors, I said, the week before, no negative notes. The week before, you're just telling them good things. You're just building them up.
Is that hard?
Yeah, it's hard because you want to fix things. So you got to find a way to fix it in a positive way, which is great for my directors.
It
is. Then they learn how to fix things, but address it in a positive way. So, but we only want to give positive notes for the last week. We want to tell them, this was great. This was great. I love the way you did this. 27 things that person does you might hate, but you're going to find that one thing that you can say, I love the way you did that.
Yeah.
And because we want them, when we get to opening night, I want them jazzed.
Yeah.
I want them excited to be here. I want them to have the best experience. Because like I said before, that's my gig, right? I want you to have fun. I want you to have a great experience, whether you're on the stage or watching it. I want you to come in and just have a great time. Theater is a great escape. You come to the theater to take your mind off things. You come to the theater to get away from your daily life. Now that doesn't mean we don't do plays that make you think. I like to do plays that make you think. I like to do that. But there's a place for us to do plays that just entertain. There's a part for that too. Just take your mind off things. Just come and enjoy yourself. Because we realize that, like we talked about earlier, we realize what an investment it is. If you're coming to the theater, not only are you spending a good amount of money, you got a babysitter.
Yeah.
You went out to dinner.
Yes.
You spent money. You dressed up.
Yes.
You came, and so I'm going to make my experience as lovely for you as you can.
Right.
And so when you walk in the theater, when you walk in the doors of our theater, you're going to be treated just like you were at the Alley, just like you would at Broadway. There's going to be a line. Your ticket's going to be ready for you at will call. We're going to have an usher. We're going to have someone open the door for you. Thank you for being here. We're going to have beautiful playbills. We're going to send you. We're going to give you all the bells and whistles. We're going to give you that experience because we realize you've given us so much of, you've given us a lot of time. And when I talk to the people that be around Southeast Texas, and this is, I talked about this in every place that I've been, what they don't realize is what an economic driver the arts and culture is.
Is it?
Yeah, well, think about it. Like I said, my budget is about a little over $500,000.
Okay.
I put $2.5 million into the Southeast Texas economy every year because people are coming there buying tickets, because I'm buying things locally, because I use local vendors, I use someone to do my air conditioning. All that money is money that I'm putting into the Texas economy. That I'm putting into, and people don't realize that about the arts.
You don't think about it.
Well, there's no better place. If you want to build up a place, that's what we should be doing in downtown Beaumont. Is we should be building up arts and culture, because people come to see arts and cultural events. And if you go to an arts and cultural event, it's an average that you're going to spend 27 ancillary dollars per ticket. 27 ancillary dollars that you're going to spend, that you're going to pump in. So we keep trying to tell people that's like, the arts is not a throwaway, because what gets cut all the time?
Arts. Every time.
Well, if you talk about what's going on in downtown Beaumont now, right? They talk about crime and this, but ask people what they want. I want more events. I want more festivals. I want more stuff. I want more arts and culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? I want that's what I want, right? That's what I want, but I'm not willing to pay for it. Yeah, I just want.
Yeah.
It's just so we try and tell. Listen, it's worth paying for it, because look at all the money we're moving into the economy. Now imagine if the Jefferson Theater was functioning the way that it should. Sorry for the city of Beaumont, whoever heard this, right? You know that you know that it was active, that it was having programming as
which
much
it does not.
Which it does not. You know, which it does not. I mean, it has some, and the guys who are working are trying really hard, but it's to get programming in there every night. Imagine what that would do for downtown if 4 nights a week something was happening at the Jefferson. If I had another theater or a nightcllub downtown or a music venue. Give me some entertainment. People will come down. They will spend their money because that's what people want.
Right.
So I mean, making sure that art, telling people, arts and culture is the economic driver. It is the place that saves places. Look at Austin, right? Austin is huge, right? And it's all because of arts and culture.
It is.
That's what It's not because of industry.
It is not.
It's not because. And when I was in Detroit, I went to Ford Motor Company. I said, listen, you should be giving us tons of money, because look at all the added value I have for your employees. I bet I have your kids in my program. How many of your employees are coming to see me? I have all this. We are an added value. When you want to bring someone into this, when you want to hire someone at Ford Motor Company, and you're going to talk about, wow, it's a great idea to come to this area. You're going to say, and I got this, and I got this, and I got this great theater. So we're an added value for your employees. And finally, Ford Motor Company said, oh, yeah, I guess you are. And they laid a bunch of money on us. And so that's what I've been trying to do that with the energy industry down here, because that's who we have. And I have so many Exxon people, Motiva people, all those people who are in my shows, who come to my plays, who do all that. I have their kids in my programs. And so I feel like those companies could be laying some cash on us, to help us support that, so that they can see what we're doing, because we are value added to this community. We're the place to go. When you talk to the city of Beaumont, which doesn't give us any love, but they talk about us as a thing to do when they want people to move to Beaumont. We have Beaumont community players, but you're not giving me any cash.
Right.
Because I'm
just
not
lip service.
Yeah, because I'm not downtown. See, and I was, what incentive does the city of Beaumont have for me to move downtown?
That's a great question.
I have no incentive to move downtown. There's no reason for me to do programming downtown. You're not going to give me any money for it. You're not going to give me a break to use your venues. You're not going to help support me. You're not going to advertise it. You're not going to do anything but charge me money. You're going to make me use Ticketmaster. You make it very unfriendly for me to come downtown. So why would I come downtown?
Right. And then you have to pay to use Ticketmaster, don't you?
Yeah, Ticketmaster is the biggest scam in the industry. It's a word. We don't use it. Mm-hmm. I mean, and we were just about to book an event in the city of Beaumont. We have a big fundraiser every year that has outgrown. We used to do it here, and it's outgrown this facility, so we were going to move it downtown. But they said, you have to use Ticketmaster. And I said, I don't want to use Ticketmaster. And they said, well, then you can't sell tickets.
What?
So that's, so they don't get my event. Now they don't have an event downtown.
What?
Because they were married to Ticket. Now they said, you don't have to use Ticketmaster, but if you don't use Ticketmaster, you can't sell tickets at the door. I'm going,
what?
that doesn't do me any good either.
Exactly.
So it's it's not necessarily friendly. But I've been having that fight. It's not just Beaumont. I'm having that fight everywhere. I've been having that fight in every city that I've been in to try and tell people, listen, we're important. The arts and culture is important. What we do is important. It's important to the economy. It's important to your kids. I mean, that's why we are the only we are the only outside provider of cultural programming for all of Beaumont ISD for Black History. We're the only people that bring any Black History programming to Beaumont.
Really?
Nobody else does. And so now I've got on top of that, I've got every 8th grader in Beaumont coming to see our production of A Christmas Carol over the holiday. So we're in schools, because I'm getting in school, and that's been a 5-year fight for me to get into schools.
Why is it so hard?
Well, it's just because they don't know us, because it's hard, because the school district has its own struggles.
A lot of them.
The school district has a lot of struggles, and the superintendent, I love her, she's great. And they're working really hard to make things better, but it's a struggle for them. And I mean, if you're in, off subject, but I mean, if you're a person that is in Beaumont and you're going to school and you have the money, you're going to private school, you're not going to public school.
Correct.
So the only kids who are in public school are low income, underprivileged. That's who's going to the public schools in Beaumont, and it's a hardship on the teachers. I talk to teachers every day, and they're having the hardest time because of discipline problems, because of this, because they don't have the support, and they're trying to turn it around, but so for them to reach out to us, we have a nice relationship now where we teach workshops, we do a lot of cultural programming, because they don't have, it's not in their district funding, so they find funding for it, or it's like we charge the kids $10 to come and see Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
So.
I had no idea that y'all did so much in the community.
Oh yeah, we are a force.
You really are. I mean, this place really is.
We try to be. We really try to be. If you see, I mean, we also have an immense costume shop upstairs, and so I mean, if there's ever a costume event, the Beaux Arts Ball, any of that stuff, there are always people coming here.
Where do you get your costumes
to
from?
borrow things. This place has been around for almost 100 years. We've got a huge stock of costumes. A huge stock of costumes, and we made a third bigger because we created all new costumes for Christmas Carol, which is going to be so beautiful. New costumes for Christmas Carol are so gorgeous.
So who do you look for? What do you look for in actors and actresses for your productions?
I look for actresses who are fearless, who are willing to take direction, and who are enthusiastic. I mean, all the other things, do you fit the role, are you right for the part, all of those things. But in general, I'm looking for someone who is open to taking direction. And so when we audition them, we give them stuff to do to see if they're open to doing things differently. Because I'm not interested in fighting with someone who's not willing to take direction. So you got to be willing to take direction. You got to be willing to be a team player, to understand, to take direction. And I'm looking for someone who really wants to be here. Someone who is enthusiastic about it. Those are the two biggest criteria that we have. Whether you can sing, dance, or act, we'll work that out. We'll work that out, and we'll find a place for you. When we do big cast shows, anybody who auditions gets in.
Really?
I have never, in the 6 years I've been here, I've never turned a person away who's auditioned for a show. If it's a big show, if it's a chorus, we find a chorus, we'll put you in it. You could be the tone-deaf, non-dancing person, and I'll put you in the back, and you can be a tree. If you want to participate, I will put you in it, and I'll let you come and be a tree. So because we want more people. We want more people to be here. The more the merrier.
Can people outside of Southeast Texas participate in your?
Anybody who wants to come and audition can audition, as long as you're willing to make the trek to be here.
Oh yeah.
As long as you're willing to make the trek to come and be here, yeah.
So how do you audition and get the word out? How does that process work?
Well, we have a very our schedule is very set. It's on our website. We have from the very beginning of our season. So we list when the auditions for every show. If you look in my brochure, which goes out in April every year, if you look at my brochure, it lists when the auditions for every show is. And then we do social media, and we put it out there, and we let people come and audition.
What's your website?
www.beaumontstages.com.
Okay. Is there like a minimum or a maximum on ages for her?
It depends on the role. If you're, you have to be 18 or older, right, to play an adult role.
Okay.
So if you're gonna play an adult, you have to be older than 18. But I have tons of kids in Christmas Carol. I'll have kids in Wizard of Oz at the end of the season. So there's no age. It just depends on the cat. Just depends on the show. But if you're going to be like, if you want to audition for a grown-up role, you have to be 18.
Okay. Tell me about the program you do during the summer with the mentally disabled
Oh, my
children.
God. Camp Interact. This is the most favorite thing that I do. When I got here in 2016, they had this camp for special needs kids on the spectrum, and special needs camp.
Okay.
And they did it just a regular play, and the kids got through it, and it was okay. And I went, I think we can do a lot. I think we can do better than this. I think we can do better than that. And so I reached out to Karen, who was involved in the program initially, and we decided that we were going to do this whole new Megillah. We were going to make this whole new camp, a new way to approach it,
Okay.
which is to be what we call an immersive theater camp, which means that the kids who are special needs, the kids who have neurodiversity, they are working along with peer mentors who are not on the spectrum,
Okay.
and everybody is the same. So everybody is together.
I love that you said that everybody is the same.
So we treat whether you're autistic and nonverbal,
Yep.
right, or you're not, you're going to participate the same along with someone who is age appropriate, who is your mentor, who's going to be doing the things right along there with you.
Right.
And so that's that immersive theater camp where everybody is the same and they model each other, and the neurodiverse students model the peer mentors. And so they start to see that behavior, so they participate. And then the peer mentors they become more tolerant and more, so we, they learn how to get, so that we send them, but I'm gonna cry, that's the thing.
I'm trying not to myself.
I mean, we send those kids who are our peer mentors
Right.
back to the schools, and they have this experience. And so now they're with everybody, and they're more accepting, and they reach out. So, it's the thing.
It is the thing.
And you saw the show, and so we have kids in there, and it's one of my greatest success stories is a young lady. She's not young anymore. She's 17, and her name is Andrea Graham. And she came to us the first day of Interact. She sat in the corner by the water fountains and rocked, and that's all she did. And then we got her working, and we got her to do stuff. By the end of that show, she sang a solo line by herself, right? That next year, she was in her main stage show. She was in a regular play, just a regular play on our main stage. She just came out and we put her in a regular show. Then she moved up and she's so tough, not only does she do Interact, but now that she's old enough, she does the high school show with me as well. So she rehearses, she does Interact during the day, goes to lunch, and then comes back to rehearse at night. Which is fine for me, but not so fine for a 17-year-old girl who, is on the spectrum and struggling through. But Andrea is, she's a super success story. Now she's a pro, man. She does all. She's in Christmas Carol. In Christmas Carol, I have 4 kids who are on the spectrum in the show, in our main stage show, that came from Camp Interact that we moved into our program. So they can participate, and we do it so that we do it appropriately. We take care of them. But the problem that when they go, and Karen, her counselors and the students, her students that she brings, the counselors that she brings, because every one of those kids gets assigned 1, if not 2, counselors that deals with them and talks about communication. We talk about how this is not appropriate. This is not appropriate. Tell your story. Let's tell your story. It's a whole.
Wait, are we talking about counselors here at Beaumont?
Yeah, they come from the speech and pathology department.
I'm thinking you're talking about the counselors like at schools.
Oh no, they come here for Interact. I have about 12 of them that are at camp every day with our campers.
Really?
Yep. And we do programs with them. We have story time with them. I mean, the thing about one of the reasons why, if you saw the show, that it was only 20 minutes long, right, is because during the course of the day, by the time they get here, and we have group activity with them, and then we have warm up, and then we have social interaction, then we do story time. And I get about 20 minutes to actually rehearse, because we're doing all the other stuff. So if I can get them to learn 3 songs and 3 dances,
that's success.
That's success. So, and we write the play for them every year, because now that I'm getting to know them, there's not a lot of material that's out there that's appropriate for 12 autistic kids.
It
that
is
they
nice.
can do. So we write something for them every year. And this year coming up, we're going to do about superheroes, because they have been after me because they love superheroes, and that's, they come in and they do Spider-Man, and when we do improv and when we play games, everybody's a superhero. And so I said, so that next year we're going to write a play where they're going to be superheroes, and so that's pretty exciting. But those kids are the great. It's the best half hour you will ever spend, is to come and see those kids at the
I'm telling you, I came this summer of 2023. One of my friends invited me. It was the best play.
Yeah, they're great. They'll break your heart. I mean,
Oh my God.
we have one little guy. They have a set of twins, and one of them is like we started last year. He would come in and he would just say, "Today's rehearsal is canceled." And we said, "No, Jordan, it's not canceled. Today's rehearsal is canceled." And that was what he said. He said, "Nope, canceled." So I said, "No, it's not canceled." And so he was, "Okay, today's rehearsal is not canceled." So now, so if you saw the show, right, that's how he started. He walked out and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Camp Interact. Today's show is not canceled."
He did.
So we made it. We built that in for him, because that was the thing that he said. So he loved it. So that became his thing. So now every time he's here, we start that show with, "Today's show will not be canceled," because that's what he loves. That's what he loves, because that's what he loves to say. And another cool thing about that program is we don't age them out. In schools, right,
You're aged out.
right, because when you're done with high school, there aren't any programs for
Yes.
these kids. There's no place for them to go.
And
right?
there's no places, and of course I'm just speaking like locally Beaumont, there's not a lot of places for when they age out of school, like where they can go and like continue their education or continue the routine or the stability.
No. And so, I mean, the fact that we have none of those kids age out. None of them. I mean, I'll take you if you're 26, 27. I don't care. For that program,
Yes.
it doesn't matter, because you're probably not going to be mentally 26 or 27. You're going to be much younger anyway.
Yes.
But we want, even if you are a little bit older, what we'll do is we'll give you a little bit more of a mentor role. Like Jordan's brother Holden, who is the narrator of that play, is a little more advanced, so we gave him a little bit more to do. So that's why we write, and we make sure that we are taking care of those students individually, because they are the most important thing. I think the greatest compliment I ever got was from one of their parents who came to me and said, "This is the only place I drop them off."
Oh, that's huge.
No.
That's because they trust you.
Yeah, because
that's huge.
They don't drop them off anywhere else. And the fact that we are giving them those parents, we give them 5 hours a day. And if you've ever dealt with a special needs kid, 5 hours a day is gold.
It is.
And so we give them 5 hours a day. That they can come and their kids can be with us, and they're going to be safe, they're going to be taken care of, they're going to be taught the right thing. And so they love us for that. And they're super supportive of the program. And we don't, the thing about community is our community program is we don't, there's a charge for camp, but we have financial needs available, and we are very firm about anybody who wants to come can come. We'll find you the money. If you can't pay for tuition, we'll find someone will scholarship you, we'll get you here. We'll find a way for you to be here. So we don't turn anybody away.
How do you get, and this is a horrible question, how do you get the normal kids, if you will, to interact and engage with these special needs kids? Because sometimes it's like they don't know, what to say, how to act.
Yeah, we model it with the adults in the room. We model it with the counselors. We talk to them about it. We talk to them about how you approach those kids. They're learning at the same time. Now, I've gotten to the point now where I have kids who have been in the program several years, and they keep coming back to be peer mentors because they want to be. Because they enjoy that. And so they know how to do it. And if you treat everybody the same, even the peer mentors, the same as you treat the children who are neurodiverse, they understand how you want to be treated. And so then they start to model that behavior themselves. So it's just a matter of teaching them. Again, it's like we always say, everybody is cool. Everybody is uplifted. Everybody is worth. Everybody's got worth. You can't say, you can't think that someone. We say all the time when people come to me and they talk about how great our kids are, and if you come and see one of our kid shows, like if you came to see our high school program, which we call it our elite program. We call it that because I've had these kids, some of them for 10 years. If they started in community, they were in the second grade. Now they're a senior in high school. I've had them.
Yes.
So they they're good because I've been beaten on them for so long. So we call that our lead program. But when I have people who come and see that to me and say, I can't, how did you do that with those kids? How did you get them to do that? Because we do choreography that is as hard as the Broadway choreography. And I said, because I don't tell them they have limitations. Right? If you don't give them limitations, they don't know. Right? If you tell them that the sky's the limit, if you tell them that there are no limitations, if you tell them that there's nothing that you cannot do, then they don't know that they cannot do something.
Wow.
So we tell them, I tell them every day, and I tell them that my choreographer, Caitlin Kirk, was amazing, and I use her for a lot of things. I say to her every show that we do with the kids, I said, make it as hard as you can. Make it as hard as you can, and let's see how they step up. And we've never had to dumb it down. They've stepped up to the plate every time. We've never had to say, okay, no, all right, well, that's too hard for them. Because if you don't tell them that it's too hard, they don't know.
Exactly.
If I expect them to do great, they're going to do great. If I expect them to be crummy, if I expect them to be kids and be lazy, that's what they're going to give me. If I expect them to approach the work in a professional way and bring me their best game, that's what I'm going to get, because that's what I expect. So.
Oh my God. I don't know any place else that's so inclusive, so diverse, that makes room and space for everyone like this place. I don't think there's a place.
There's not. I mean, not in Southeast Texas. There's not. I mean, we're very proud of the fact. It's what we hang our hat on. It's what
you should.
It's what we're all. It's what we're all about. And then I tell that to my board, and I tell that to the people. Again, like we went back to, the shows are secondary. The shows are my vehicle. The shows are my means to an end. So I have this view. I have this great activity that allows me to bring all these people together and interact with each other and see each other and actually see each other. So that's the vehicle is the place. But that's not the goal. That's not the end goal.
Wow.
The end goal is to get to have people be together, to have people to understand each other. I mean, the only way we're going to survive is if we start to see each other.
It is.
Instead of we don't ever other anybody. That's a phrase that we use all the time. Nobody is ever the other here. We don't ever other anybody.
Speaking as a black woman,
right.
I don't know how that feels.
I'm sure you don't.
I have no idea how that feels.
I'm sure you don't.
To not be othered.
Right. So that's the way we. And so we're going to keep trying. We're just going to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it.
Now, your summer program, your Interact program, what are you wanting the kids to take away from that program? There's so many things that I can think of.
Oh, well, I mean, but mostly we want them to take away the fact that they can do anything.
Yeah.
That's what I want them to take away from this, that there is nothing that they cannot do. Because when they come, especially if you're on the thing that the hardest thing for me to deal with, that I had to learn about doing the camp with Karen, and she is so interesting. She's so wonderful. She's so good with them, and she's so empathic. She's just a love. She's such a great person. But she taught me, that I did, because after the first year, the kids came back the second year, and I expected them to have learned from the first year the things that I had taught them. I expected them to have progressed. I expected them to have been better, and they don't. They're the same. Okay. That's the nature of the disease. That's the nature of having neurodiverse issues or autism or something. Is that you are the same a lot. You don't progress from year to year necessarily. Okay. You're not going to, the normal progression that I see from a kid who's a sophomore in high school to a kid who's a senior in high school, you see that normal progression. You don't see that in our neurodiverse kids. So I had to realize, oh my God, because the second year I made things a little bit harder because I expected them to have, and Karen she taught me. She said, that's not, we have to, you're starting over.
Every year.
Every year you're starting over. Now the kids that have been with us in that camp for many years, because kids who are on the spectrum are driven by schedule. They're driven by routine.
Right.
Yes. So my routine, they know the routine. They know they come in, they know they play a game, they know that I'm going to warm them up, they know that they're going to go to group time, they know the schedule. Yes. They have clocks. I mean, that's a Mrs. John, snack time. I mean, they know their routine. So I have kids who know the routine, but the core of getting them to sing better or act better, it's not going to get any better from year to year. So we just we deal with that. But the thing that we preach to them is that you can do anything. There's nothing you can't do. Yeah. There's no limits to what you can do.
think takes the most from that program? The special needs kids, the normal kids, and I hate saying normal
Yeah.
kids because that's not a thing, but
Yeah.
who takes?
I really think it's the peer mentors. I really think
Okay.
it is.
Peer mentors,
Yeah,
yes.
so I really think it's them. I really think that they take the most out of it. I mean,
Okay.
because I think that it's great for our neurodiverse kids, and they get a great experience and all of that. They may take something from it. They may get more confidence. They may feel better about people. They may feel better about how to talk to strangers. All of that may be good.
Right.
But these kids who are the peer mentors, right, who walk away from the program, right, I think they are impacted the most, because they now see how to deal with it. They now see that everybody has value. They now see that you can't treat someone different, and they're going to go back into their schools, and they're going to work with those kids, and they're going to be more empathetic towards those kids that they see in class, and they're going to think that everybody is going through something.
Yeah.
Let's not think that everybody has a story. Everybody has a story.
And dealing with something that they're not talking about.
Right, exactly. Everybody has a story. So I think that they take the most out of it. I think they get the most.
Do you think, I do,
Mhm.
I think it, but do you think that every child should be a peer mentor?
Oh,
that
yes.
can be?
Yes, absolutely. We should. I mean, I think every single kid should be exposed to that. Should come in there and be exposed to kids who are different, because at the end of the day,
Right.
they're not less. They're just different.
They're just different.
And if you can't, and so dealing with everybody who's different. But we should be, we should be doing that with with race. We should be doing that with, we should be, we should be more integrated through all of that. It's like I talk to kids, who have never had a black student in their class.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
I grew up in the city, so I grew up in a very diverse place, and I grew up in the north, so it's a little different than the south, where we weren't as segregated. I did not experience a black person until I was in high school.
Yeah.
So it's different. So everybody should be a peer mentor. There should be much more involvement in that. We should try and get more kids involved with kids who are different.
What do you think acting gives kids?
Confidence. I think that's the most important thing. I think that gives them confidence. I mean, if you talk, I mean, I don't know if it's a truism or wives' tale, but they used to say that the biggest fear, right, is public speaking.
Right.
Is getting up in front of people.
I feel
and
like
talking.
that's still the case.
I think it might. I mean, that might
Yeah.
be true. So if you get anything, my son, who is a very successful attorney, and did theater as a youth. As it went with me, I got him in shows, and he did commercials and things like that, and he was involved, and then decided this is not the job for me. Dad, you were always poor, so I don't want to do that. So I'm going to be a lawyer where you have money. So, but he will tell you that that the skill he got from being able to learn lines, to be on stage, to put yourself out there, to project, to be confident, to be out there and have a bunch of people look at you and not go, right, has served him better than anything that he learned in law school. He said when I walked, when I tried a case in federal court, he goes, the things that is I learned, I take my deep breath, I do those things that I learned, that I do those acting things. He goes, I have all the lawyer stuff, but when it comes to those are things that puts him a cut above other lawyers. Yeah. Because he's not afraid to, if he's gonna, other lawyers are gonna grip and be nervous when they're in front of the ninth district of the federal court, and Zach is gonna go, man, it's just in there, dude.
So it really helps you find your voice too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to. I mean, it's that ability to be. You learn, besides the confidence, you learn to be vulnerable. You learn to be able to that emotions are not scary. We all have them. We all have them, and if you bottle them up, they're bad. If you express them too much, it's bad. You have to dealing with your emotions. At least in the theater, you're often addressing it. You're often talking about this. So you're doing this character is doing this, and so why are you doing this? Why are you doing it? Because why does that make you mad? And so all of that. There's not acting is all the performing arts, acting, dance, all of that is good for that.
What is the one thing, and I know this is a broad question, but what is the one thing that you would like for your actors and your actresses that come here to Beaumont Community Players to take away?
I think the fact that that it's a collaborative. You know, that working together is better than working at cross purposes. I think that the community is the whole. Anytime, whether it's a team sport or the theater, I think the things that you take that I want people to take out of it is the same. You know, it's like when you have people working together for a shared goal, for one shared goal. You know, you gotta rely on everybody, and that it's okay. It's like I can't, as an actor, right? If I'm out on stage with you, I gotta trust you and that you're gonna give me the lines that I need to say. You're gonna be, so I've gotta trust you, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna be out in the real world. I'm gonna have a little bit more trust because I'm gonna trust that you're gonna do your job. I'm not gonna, so that's kind of what we're looking for.
Why is, and we've talked about this throughout the podcast, why is diversity and inclusion so important to you? I mean, you don't tokenize it, and I appreciate it as a Black woman. You are so intentional about creating space for everyone, for the African Americans, for the Hispanic, for the gays, for the mentally challenged, for the normal kids. You're so intentional with it.
Yeah.
Why is that so important for you, and where did that come from?
Like, I don't know where it came from. Like, I don't know where it came from, but it's important for me because it's important for the world. You know, for me, it's because it's important for the planet. If we don't start to learn to accept each other and live together and stop concentrating on our differences and start seeing each other for what we are and realizing that we're all the same. You know, and we all have issues. We all have the same. We're all just trying to do the best that we can, and that there has to be a place where everybody can come. There has to be a place. I mean, it can't. There has to be some place where everybody is welcome, where the melting pot happens, where we can all get together, where everybody is treated exactly the same as the next person, regardless of what you are. There's got to be a place, because isn't that the way that we should be? Isn't that the way that that's the way the world should be. That's the world we envision. I mean, I'm a child of the 60s. So, I mean, that love, peace, rock and roll, so that's what we grew up in that, and love everybody. Everybody is love. Everybody is things. So, I mean, it's so important to me that we are that place, because that place doesn't exist here in Southeast Texas. No, that place is not. So it's so important for us that we have a place where everybody gets to come, or everybody gets to be.
This is the only interview, and I'm gonna try not to cry as I get through this. This is the only interview that I have been brought to laughter and tears.
Well,
I mean, just tears of gratitude and joy and just unbelief.
see, that's what the theater does. See, as you go to the theater, you get all that. You get laughter, you get tears, you get joy, you get woken up, you get made to think, or you get 2 hours to sit back and not think about anything else. The theater is a beautiful thing. The theater is a great vehicle to take care of all of those things. So
I got that.
Yeah.
I got all of that doing this interview.
Yeah, so come and see us, man. We
coming.
We got good stuff going on.
I'm coming again because, like I said, I came to the Impactful. It was just amazing. And I think that one, if I can remember correctly, was about treating everyone the same. It was just, and I went home, I was like, that wasn't just a play or production for children. That's a life.
We do all of them.
It's a life.
The year before that was a play called Boxes. And it was about not putting people in a box. Not putting people in a box.
Yes.
And so we did it, and they got it. And it's like, we don't put people, are you in your box? No, I'm not in my box. I got to get out of my box. Don't put people in a box.
Yes.
So that was the play before that. Next year will be superheroes, because we want them to think that they have superpowers.
Right.
Because they have superpowers.
Because they do.
Because they do. So we want them to enjoy this. So you're my superpower. Know what's your superpower? My superpower is I listen. My superpower is that I love. What their superpowers are going to be. And so we'll write this great script for them. It's my diversion. I go to Italy every summer, and so I spend 2 weeks in Italy every summer, and that's what I do is I write their play.
Really?
So I write their play. So.
Wow. So if people want to support Beaumont Community Players, how can they do that? If they want to donate, how can they do that?
It's all on our website, www.beaumontstages. There's a donate tab. You can come, you can call us. We are We have the Platinum Seal of Transparency with GuideStar, which is the governing body that governs all nonprofits.
Okay.
So our books are open. You can come and check us out. You can see our tax statement. You can see that your money will be used well. We are a legit nonprofit. You get a nice tax write-off if you donate to us. And we are always looking for donations. I mean, the thing about the theater is that no theater in the country generates enough money from ticket sales to produce. It's like we generate from our earned revenue, ticket sales accounts for about 60% of my operating budget, which means that 40% of my operating budget every year has to come from donations or grants or that, unfortunately the state of Texas is not very forthcoming for grants funding. We are 42nd out of 50 states in funding the arts in Texas.
Are we?
Yeah, we're terrible. Yeah, we don't fund the arts at all. Yeah.
You know what? Texas is last in so many things.
It is a state that does not value arts and culture. It just doesn't. It values STEM, science, technology. That's what they're about. And I have so many funders I've spoken to who have said, "Can you fit that into STEM?" I said, "Well, Christmas Carol doesn't really fit into STEM."
Right.
So it doesn't really fit into STEM. So it's hard. Texas does not. They don't value arts and culture, so therefore they don't support it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got to do it without the state of Texas.
Your money goes where you value.
And so you got to do it without the state. Not that the state, they do give some money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, out of all the people in the state of Texas, of all everybody, in this area, the lion's share of the money goes to the symphony and the bigger organizations, and so that's okay. Symphony is important. We have a great symphony for a little town. For a little town here, we have a great symphony.
We do. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Okay, so we gotta end this interview.
Great.
Oh my goodness. My last question for you, John. Who do you think would make a great guest on the podcast? But you have to help me get them on.
Dina Hughes.
Who's that?
Dina Hughes is the executive director of TAN, Triangle Alliance Health Network.
Okay.
She does a lot of work with the AIDS community. We'll be hosting World AIDS Day with her. She's been an actress here for me. She's an amazing person. I'll reach out to Dina for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, she's great.
Thank you
Thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
Oh my God, this has been the best
Good.
interview.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
The best interview.
Good.
And thank you so much for tuning in and watching. You can get this interview and all of my other interviews on YouTube Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. And remember, you always have time to listen and learn on the go.
I be Crystal Petry.